What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pardon the POV. I'm with the real Caleb King. What up?
What's up, Matt?
I had a very interesting thing happen to me today. I'm on LinkedIn and I was trying, as people come in supered, we have this idea of owning the bolt. Caleb's got it on his shirt right there. Also put it on our LinkedIn post. Did you know LinkedIn has gotten rid of the ability to put emojis in your name? Why do you think that is, Caleb? I have an idea. Why do you think it is?
Because we're too hot.
Yeah, well, not because you can't own the emoji, which I think is awesome. I think they got rid of it for weight. If you put an emoji in your name and there's automation, it's very clear it's automation because it can't read the emoji. I think they got rid of it so people can automate your LinkedIn even worse. Woo! So LinkedIn working against you, not for you. Oh well, death to your LinkedIn DMs. Okay, Robert, let's take it away. I'm excited for the Pardon the POV.
Already starting out pretty spicy today. Thank you for bringing the energy, Matt. Bolo and the real Caleb King. Question one. This is about the state of sales enablement. Matt, if you don't end up plugging SOSE, then I'm going to remove you. Anyway, question one. Sales enablement has never had more resources, more budget, or more headcount. 90% of orgs now have a dedicated enablement team, up from 75% just 3 years ago. The market for enablement platforms is projected to hit, get this, $5 billion with a B by 2029. Despite all of that, 55% of orgs say they're unable to effectively drive their go-to-market initiatives. 2/3 of sales leaders say rep productivity is their number one priority for 2026, which begs this question. If enablement has been growing for a decade, why does productivity still suck? To you, binary question, sales enablement as it exists today is failing the revenue teams it was designed to serve. Agree or disagree? 3, 2, 1.
Agree.
Disagree.
Already a first disagreement with each other. All right, we'll give it to Matt first. Matt, you agree?
I agree that sales enablement as it exists today is failing their revenue teams. I mean, it's just data. If you also look from 2018 to 18 to 2026, the enablement spend has 4x. It has quadrupled in revenue spent. And during that same time, reps have spent even less time doing work. Like how we're thinking about enablement today, which is this input first mindset. If you read something, it will change your behavior because you know the right thing and you've learned to do the right thing. That idea, that concept does not work. Knowing does not equal doing better. Knowing better is not doing better. You must change the way enablement's done. I think it should be done from an output based. You actually have to check behavior. And when we do that, we'll start to finally see ROI out of your enablement process.
Sorry, that sounded like it was bad. That was not the intent. Your time is just over. Sorry. Caleb, go ahead.
I do not think. I think the word failing is too strong. I think they're. I read this email newsletter from Sales Enablement something, and they're just one of their first points. They were talking about how certifications are so important for sales enablement, and one of their first points was,
were they selling enablement? Were they selling a certification? Just by the way,
I don't know. Just this is how you prove your worth to the company. This is how you protect your job. And I think there's just, it's not that they're failing, but it's become so political where it's just hey, let me prove my worth. So I'm going to show you a book of everything I've written on how to enable people. And that is not helpful. There's just too much politics in trying to prove your worth versus getting people to do the behavior, which is what Matt said, which I do agree with, right? So I do agree it should be behavior first versus content first. But I think failing is too strong.
Some great points made. We are getting a little bit long-winded. I'm here to keep us on track, right? Question 2, sales enablement versus sales management, similar. So while we're mad about this, here's another thing to be upset about. Here's the fundamental disagreement tearing enablement teams apart right now. Is the job to make content / build content or to enforce execution or desired outcomes? One camp says reps need better playbooks, better decks, better competitive intel, more crap. The other camp says reps already have everything they need. They just don't use it. Follow it or know where to find it. Consider this: half of all prospect engagement is generated by just 10% of sales enablement content. 90% of what you're building is dead weight or out of date, irrelevant. I believe Caleb once said it's not evergreen, so it doesn't matter. And yet, FLOLA 2025 benchmark report found that fewer than 1 in 4 enablement teams describe themselves as truly unified and action-oriented. Question to you: enablement teams should stop building content and start enforcing process. Do you agree or disagree? 3, 2, 1.
Disagree.
Agree.
Caleb, first up this time.
I don't think enablement teams should stop building content. I do think they should focus first on baseline process expectation, behavioral expectation. And that's a big lift, getting everyone up to the baseline of expectations. And then when you're confident and know that it's consistent and can see every day it's consistent, process boards helps you do that. Then you can enable the reps with the content, but the content can't come first. The process expectation of baseline has to come first. Only then should the rep have the freedom, or does the rep have the ability to have the freedom to utilize the content in a meaningful way.
Really quick, Caleb, what did you whisper?
Process board does this. Super does this.
Thank you to our live studio audience for engaging with Mr. King. Matt, go ahead. It's going to be hard to beat that response.
I think it's easy to beat that response because I'm going to say this is the question was, an enablement team should stop building and start, meaning they haven't even started enforcing process. So Caleb, I agree with Caleb, and I think Caleb just put in the wrong point. It is, if you are not enforcing your process as a sales enablement team, you are failing. Fail, like you F-A-I-L. I can spell out loud. Sometimes you're failing. That's what I'm trying to communicate here. Is if you make more content and somebody doesn't use it, if you're not changing behavior at the rep level, if they don't say, you make my job easier to do, thank you for holding me to an expectation, and when I don't know what to do, then you help me, then you're not doing enablement. You are you're doing theater somewhere that very few people are watching.
Great analogy.
Better on time. I have a follow-up. Let's say they do follow 100% of your process and don't hit revenue targets or quota or any of that. They don't get the desired outcomes, which you mentioned, Matt. Starting with output is important. Caleb said he hated politics. Who's at fault if that happens? If reps are doing exactly what you tell them 100% of the time and they still don't get the results, what then do you change?
I'm gonna say this: there are 3 problems when you're running a sales team. It is my rep following the process? Well, there's 3. Is the rep following the process? Is my process working? And these are the 2 questions. Is my rep following the process? And is my process working? The issue is you don't know if your process is working unless reps are following the process. It is a great outcome or output if every rep is following the process, and now I know the process isn't working. That's actually a really good place to be. I argue most sales management teams aren't in that place. And if you know your process isn't working, you can actually shift to make a new bet. So I'd say if that happens, you're in the best place you could be because you actually know something's not working.
Love that response. We learned in 6th grade science to manipulate one variable at a time. So this would be establishing a control. Caleb has a PhD in neurophysics. Next question. Process paradox, sales leadership versus RevOps. A number that should haunt every sales leader. 60% of a sales rep's time is spent on non-selling tasks. Could be anything, but not prospecting, not closing, maybe admin work. Here's the cruel irony of that. Very systems that are designed to enforce good process are often, and I can attest to this, the biggest contributors to that administrative burden. Average seller uses 8 different tools to close a single deal. 42% say they feel overwhelmed by the technology required to actually do their jobs. And sellers who feel overwhelmed are 45% less likely to hit quota. Matt says, don't use your feelings as an excuse, as an aside. We've built elaborate compliance mechanisms, CRM rules, stage gates, pipeline hygiene reviews that reps work around, not through. Enforcement creates friction sometimes. So here's a question specifically for both of you who do this for a living. Sales process enforcement, as most teams practice it today, actually hurts rep performance more than it helps. Do you agree or disagree? 3, 2, 1.
Agree.
Matt, you're up first on this one.
I think I couldn't hear Caleb. I think he said he agreed too.
Disagree.
You disagree. Goodness gracious. We're on the opposites. How we think about sales enforcement today is I've run a lot of sales teams or a lot of processes, and and this fits a bit in how I think about super and how we use process boards. I don't even say the word process. I say expectations, and I have a base level of expectations, and we should enforce those expectations first, not the asinine data rules or filter gates that you have people do. My example is everybody on your sales team sending a follow-up email, yes or no? Are you contacting contacts or people in the deals? Are you auto connecting with people on LinkedIn? Yes or no? Do you have are you touching them with value adds every 7 days? Yes or no? There's some basic expectations that sit outside process. You should start enforcing those first, and then only second start to get more tapped into the process itself.
That is a long gone. Caleb, go ahead.
I don't think sales process enforcement today, as it exists today, hurts reps because super exists. I don't, because if I'm a rep and I'm using with super, I have a straight line towards the finish, right? Before super, without super, yeah, I don't have a straight line towards the finish. And so there's an open field, but I know there has to be a path taken. There's the path is informed in front of me, right? So I mean, I guess it's a complex answer, but no, super does exist. It does point me towards the straight line towards the finish, process enforcement. And without it, yeah, you don't have guardrails.
Caleb, question: do most sales teams have super today?
No, but some do.
So to answer is as most practice it today, is it more harmful or more helpful?
I just don't think it exists today. There is.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I agree with Caleb. It super answers this question in a fundamental way that makes straight lines for reps versus the zigzag tool. A lot of what you talked about. So
What we learned was that Caleb, in his response to the question, could not even comprehend a world in which super wasn't the default for enforcement or sales process, which, Matt, you should be happy for the rest of the week. All right, question 4. Sales management versus sales leadership. And then we'll go to a different category. There's a version of I actually love this question, so pay attention. There's a version of a sales manager that nobody put in the job description, the CRM police officer. SFDCPD, a series coming to a CRM near you soon, by the way. Chasing close date updates, auditing MedPick fields, talking about BANT, asking where's the next step on every deal and every pipeline review, being a nag towards reps. Research shows sales managers already spend 13 hours a week. That's 2.5 hours every day coaching reps. But let's be honest, a significant portion of that 13 hours is not coaching. It is inspection. It's data verification. It's accountability. Meanwhile, 56% of reps say they feel undertrained, and Gen Z sellers specifically cite lack of manager time as the number one barrier to success. The question is this: the sales manager role needs to be split. One person enforces process, another develops people. Do you agree or disagree? 3, 2, 1.
Disagree.
I'm going to say
One,
disagree.
two, three.
I disagree too. I disagree. So
Caleb, since you were the only one prepared, go ahead first.
If you just split the role between an enforcer of data and like inputting stuff and then someone that actually helps you sell, it's just the same exact problem, except now the enforcer of data is like the rev ops person, the sales ops person. You're just creating another one of those, which is a bad dynamic. We have to get to a world where, one, a lot of that like input stuff just needs to be flagged by the system, which super does that, right? Flags by the system. And there has to be a world where reps have to come and meet and understand that the system helps the sales process, right? There is a rep level of responsibility here to understand the system affects how you sell. The CRM, do I have multiple contacts? Is this multi-threaded? Actually affects how you move a deal forward because it makes you think about it. So I disagree. Can't be separated.
Mr. Bolian.
well, what gave me pause and why I said disagree after Caleb was what he landed on. It is the reality is you need both of those functions have to happen. Separating those functions into two people is a bad dynamic. You need that function to be able to do it in one person, and it's a seemingly impossible task. That's why you have tools like Super. That's why you have tools that let you inspect without taking out a lot of your time and give reps straight lines. So you spend less time inspecting and nagging and more time coaching based on what they've already been told. So you have to have that in one person. The manager needs to know why those exist, needs to understand the expectations. In fact, they might set the expectations and they need more time to coach. So how do you do both those things? You must have a system that has, and this gets like, we're selling Super at this point, but it has to have a system like Super that will spec for you and allows you to manage and coach better.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, this show is sponsored by Supered, so sell Supered if it makes sense. You're the CEO. You should be plugging Supered if you believe in it. So you, in no universe can you not attribute your answer to the product that we serve. That's a bad job by you. Come on now, what are you doing?
Heard.
My 2 cents on this before our final question is that the manager function doesn't need two people. It needs the first portion of that, the enforcement, the police officer role, to have a mutual understanding of the reps that it's the system's job and their responsibility for that to happen. What the manager can then do is focus on coaching and more of insight extraction, which is our process that you've been following sucks. It's not generating the outcomes or standardizing them in the way that we want. I will redesign or speak into that and change the process, thus generating better outcomes.
Correct.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Brought to you by Super. Last question, question 5. The compliance agent, cops or coaches. Love the police theme in these questions this week. Hottest concept in RevOps right now is what Salesforce is calling agentic AI. Man, AI that doesn't just assist, but executes. 94% of sales leaders with agents say they're critical to meeting business demands. But there's a philosophical question nobody's asking out loud. When an AI agent surfaces a missing field, flags a stale deal, or blocks a stage progression because a rep skipped a step, is that coaching or policing? Human version of that interaction, manager calls rep feels embarrassed, rep resents process, has a measurable negative effect on motivation, adoption, and quota attainment. Does automating the same enforcement dynamic just make it faster and more scalable, or does removing the human element actually make it more tolerable? Question to you. AI enforced sales process compliance will drive higher rep adoption than manager enforced compliance. Agree or disagree? 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to say disagree because of how that question's written.
I'm going to say it depends on what sales process compliance means, but I'll say agree.
Feel free to redefine or re-ask the question. Matt, I believe you're up this time.
He says AI enforced sales process compliance drives higher than manager enforced. And I'd say it goes back to the previous question we just asked. Can you split enforcing the process away from the manager? And the answer is hell of no. Like you better, the manager's job is to ensure there's a process enforced. And they might have a system that helps them execute that, but they ultimately hold responsibility if that rep's not following, the hammer falls on them. So yeah, they will always be manager enforced. AI will assist. And if you divorce those two concepts, the manager will forget why the process exists in the first place, understand why the accountability is there, and not be able to thus will be less informed to coach. So it will always be manager enforced or human enforced. And we do not want to live in a world that's just AI and divorcing those two roles.
That was a great, succinct answer. Celebratory gong. Caleb, go ahead.
I think just the definition of what sales process compliance means here, right? So, given some of these examples, like Salesforce agent surfaces missing field, I can click yes or no. Like, I do think that is helpful, and I want that, right? And HubSpot's starting to do that, and I want that to just be able to prove stuff. But when I think about sales process, it's greater than just like the data inputs, but the data inputs do affect my process behavior. My process being how do I interact or how do I run calls? How do I interact post calls? How do I reach out to stakeholders outside of calls? And I don't think those can be represented properly just with data fields, which are important. But I think AI can help with the former, like the data fields.
You know what that means. We're out of time for today on Pardon the POV. Matt, I will give you the victory for this episode only because I feel bad for you. Go ahead. Any final parting words?
If you're a manager living in this world, this new world of sales enablement, you need to do three things. Number one, you should be judging people's behavior, not creating more content. Number two, you cannot divorce and get rid of hard conversations. You must be able to see and keep people accountable when you still have the job of being the cop and inspecting. And three, you must have a tool that allows you to do that, or you will get lapped by everyone else doing sales. And you have a terminal illness, you'll be fired in 18 months.
What a happy note to end on. Thank you for joining Pardon the POV today. I've been Rob. You're joined by the real Caleb King and Bolo, aka Matt Bolian. We'll see you next time on Pardon the POV.